Okay, so now we're back on the roof. On the roof we have the trims that we need. We've swept the area off, it's nice and clean. Now we have the trims detail that we need to complete the edges of this roof. So we have some A trim for the gutter, some D trim for the butting wall, some B trim, the medium size for the side and for this side, no A trim, no parapet trim, and then some F300 to go along the back. Yeah. So first thing I want to show you is on a fiberglass roof, it's important really that the guttering is fitted to suit the fiberglass. Now if you're used to working with felt, you can put the guttering on where you want, and then the people doing the felt can dress the felt into the guttering wherever it's placed within reason, you know. With a fiberglass roof, you're working with existing sizes of trims, so it's important that the guttering is fitted to match the trim, as opposed to the trim fitted to match the guttering. Yeah? So, best way to get the guttering and to achieve a good fall is to, on the highest end, which is furthest away from the running outlet, you want to put the bracket touching the batten. So we have the bracket up tight against the batten, so that's as high as you can possibly put it. Be careful if you're using very small battens. Basically, it needs to be low enough for the trim to comfortably sit into the guttering there. To achieve a maximum fall on the roof, we need to set the running outlet as low as possible, whilst still retaining the ability for the water to get into it there. So we use an offcut of the A trim. And we offer a running outlet up so that the back of the running outlet is just up behind the back of the trim. So I'll show you that more clearly. On the lowest point of the roof, which should be the running outlet, we want this effect. And on the highest point over there, we want more of this effect. Yeah? So we use an offcut of trim to set the running outlet at the lowest point, and then we use the batten to set the highest point. Simply put them, we string line it between them and put the brackets on following the string line. Literally that's the best fall you can achieve. So we've already done these in place. Now earlier on we talked about just putting one batten around the edge of the roof, but actually we need two on the front, on the guttering, to bring the fiberglass out into the middle of the guttering. Yeah? The reason we don't put the second batten on until now, it's very difficult to put the gutter screws in with the second batten in place. Now the guttering is in place, we can put the second batten to bring the A trim out into the middle of the gutter. Okay? Yeah. As we just said, the second batten now brings the A trim out further. So when it is dressed in place, it should drop down into the gutter, not be too tight up against the back of the gutter. Yeah? First of all, we're going to fit the gutter trim on first, starting at that edge. So, dust mask. Goggles, and there you go. Now, you want to get the habit of mitering the trim. So, small cut there. The top edge of this trim is able to interfere a little bit with the side of the next trim on top of it. So just going to touch the angle around there and take off this corner, yeah? You see that? Okay. And when we fit these trims, the idea of the batten is to reinforce behind the trim where there's effectively a gap, because there's a return on the trim, so there's a gap behind the trim. About every 600 or once every foot, we want a polyurethane mastic on the trim. When we pull the trim onto the mastic, it effectively reinforces the back of the trim, yeah? So Anthony just put some polyurethane mastic onto the trim. We're going to be using 20mm clout nails to fix the trims to the deck. Try not to use 15mm clout nails because you go home with sore fingers. Now, this can be easier with two of you. If you hold the trim out underneath the batten, being careful not to get the mastic on it, hold the trim onto the mastic and rub it back and forth. And then you're looking at the straight edge off the position. If you put your eye down the trim, you'll see if it's pointing in or pointing out. It's manufactured with the angle less than 90. The idea being that as you pull the trim onto the roof, it goes to 90. Yeah? So put your eye down there and look, and pull it gently towards you until you get a nice vertical surface down the trim there. You hold it with my foot, and you put the clout nail in. It's a good idea just to put the clout nails every 1 metre or so first. Anthony does the next fixing, then the last fixing. Later on we're going to nail at about 100 or 150 mil centres around the edge. If you start off by nailing the trim now, stitching it up, the trim will tend to walk off the roof. It's very difficult to get it back, so you need to just pin it at about 1 metre intervals. When it's in place, then is the time to actually stitch it along every 4 or 5 inches with clouts. Yeah. One thing you'll notice is we're putting the clout nails close to the edge of the trim. This is because later on we're going to be putting some reinforcing bandage over this edge. And if we were to put the clout nails closer to the edge, then the reinforcing bandage and the resin have to be close to the edge, and you get lots of runs and drips down the trim, which is a problem. So we want the clout nails close to the inside edge of the trim, about 100 or 150 centres. Yeah? Next trim I'm going to put on this roof will be a machine cut B trim along this edge. Yeah? So, to achieve this, we take our end of the trim. Put the trim into position. Then I'll use a pen. Using a pen, I'm going to mark the back of the trim. It's difficult to do, but I can see the mark on the trim myself. Cut through the grain there. See what I need to do. nice straight cut. If I cut this trim square, with a square cut, when it's in position, you find this bottom flange will go over the radius here and causes some problems. So we just need to take that edge back a little bit. Now if I just touch the grinder on this face, as the grinder bites into the material, we're just going to curve it then backwards a little bit there. I'll make it do on the bottom edge. Fit nicely into place. Actually what we have here is the corner. I'm going to trim out a little bit. That's the UPVC corner. I'm just going to take a small amount off there. It sits in a little bit better. Okay, so we have a corner, top edge taken back so we don't have any flange sticking over this radius. She's good to go. So, same process. Anthony's going to put some polyurethane mastic down the bottom. When he's ready, we'll offer it into place, pin it with 2 or 3 clout nails. Check for your vertical before you fix it. Now we have a joint here in the trim. So we're just going to lift that up a little bit, put some polyurethane under the joint. Squeeze it down and wipe the excess. Polyester. This is polyurethane. Polyurethanes and polyesters bond together very well. So don't worry if you've got excess polyurethane on there. The resin, the glass, the top coat will all bond to it anyway. So it's more important to use a little bit too much and achieve a good bond than worry about the excess. Yeah? The excess is not doing any harm. Yeah? And now we're trying to sort of wipe my fingers. Up there. You notice we're not wearing gloves, but we're very familiar with handling these products all the time. So if you're not used to handling them, I advise you to wear gloves because you will have sharp edges. Yeah? We're not using gloves because we're comfortable not using gloves and we're used to handling the product. Yeah? To show you a method, Sometimes you don't always have power on the job, or there's a problem with your power supply. So another method of doing the corner detail by hand is to use some tin snips and the saw, and again the magic pen. Yeah. Put these back over there, like that. First I'm going to complete this corner, so now we want a small amount of atrium because this roof is over 3 metres. We want to look at the 4 to 6 inch overlap here, so never go less than 4 inches, with only 1 or 2 inches on the overlap to find that the trims kink each other, so why we don't know, just trust us. Straight cut. Again, touch the blade on the front edge. When she bites in, you just come back a little bit and take some of this flange away. Feel the inside edge of this trim there. Like that. These joints, if we offer the in place.
Right, good. Was that without cut?
Yep. We get the line a bit. You want to cut this bit out there? You want me to start again? When you want me to start?
Just go back to the offer in place. No, sorry, you just explained what you just said.
I get that. I did say before we get the line, I'm going to just complete the same.
Alright, okay, sorry. Wrong. Just say go on as you were.
We can edit it, Rich. What were we at?
Sorry. Can I just say that? We'll just offer this then.
Yeah, do you want to comment at the end of it instead of halfway through it, because you're the cameraman?
I thought you may have forgotten Italian then with this. Okay, I understand.
You can do it, but I was standing with the camera, so. Right. We cut this piece, we're just going to complete the atrium to the edge of the roof without the cameraman interrupting us, yeah? I'll just make fucking end in this now. You've got the pointed cut now, yeah? Right, so we've cut this piece now, we've mitered the edge, we've taken the flange back. It's back down to a good 5-6 inch overlaps, maybe a little bit more. We use a straight edge, make sure we've got our position. Mark this trim. So we know where to put our adhesive. Put it in place. Check it straight edge. Go. I'm not go. across the edge of the roof. And wipe off our excess. We're good to go. Right, now I'm going to show you a method of doing the corner if you have no power on the job. You take the A-trim to the edge of the roof. The idea there is instead of mitring a B-trim on the edge, you're going to take a short length of the B-trim, cut it, form it into a corner, and then fit it onto that corner. So you end up with the B-trim coming round the corner. Yeah? Start off marking a 45 degree, so a 90 degree angle down the trim. And use tin snips and we cut into this angle to form the mitre at the bottom. Same on the top. If we want to bend this trim on this line, chances are it's going to crack and not necessarily follow the line. So I'm going to use the saw, just scour down the line. Should encourage bend at that point, you know. To the roof. One marks for your wraps. Now at the moment this detail doesn't look too pretty. The tile is reinforced with fiberglass, you should be surprised. Yeah. That method, at least without power, you can get on with doing the roof. Yeah. So now we're going to put some beach in, just to keep the edge here. That's fine. Long enough. That roll up. Pops up. think now's a good time to, we're going to put some F trim along the back, which is only comes on a roll, so shiny side, dull side on the inside with the writing on, the dull side you need the bond to, so with the F trim we have the tail onto the deck where it's fixed, and we do not fix it there, so this allows the roof to contract and expand. Normally in felt world you'd have a lay board there, and felt is stuck to the roof and stuck to the lay board. Felt's a bit more flexible, so it allows movement in the roof. With fiberglass it's important that you don't nail the lay board underneath the tiles. On a hot day, cold night, this roof can stress you by moving. This tail will move up and down underneath the felt. So. This off the roof. wanting the D trim or the lead detail or the abutment trim, you want to snug into the corner. Not too hard and then not too soft. So it's designed at far more than 90, so the idea is to touch it and then push it in a little bit for this snug. If the roof comes away from the wall, it can flex out and just stay on the wall. And vice versa, don't push it in too hard, because if the roof moves into the wall, it needs some give. Yeah. We've used the long leg is up the wall on this trim, so we'll do the same, the long leg up the wall across the back. I want to guess this mitre, offer it, then try again. We got that on camera. Same height as the other one. Okay. And that's it. Anthony's going to continue to put the rest of the nails in. Remember, put your nails 4, 5 or 100, 125 mil apart, all the way around the edge of the roof and close to the edges of the trim. When we put the bandage on, we don't have to take the bandage over the edge of the trim, causing lots of runs and work for ourselves later. Yeah? On all the joints, use the polyurethane mastic where you can. If you're not sure when to use it, use it. Next process on this roof really is to clean the area off, to cut some glass to size and to start to apply the wet fiberglass to the area. So thanks very much. We'll continue to trim to fix the nails where we haven't so far, and then we'll clean the roof off, and we'll see you at the next video.
Northern Building Plastics. Why collect when we can deliver?